fellow travelers. My name is Barr, and I'm joining Chibi and Virtek at the Golden Feather. Come on in, grab a seat, and let's share tales of adventure.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Golden Feather Tavern, where your hosts, Chibi and Virtek, discuss Ashes of Creation and important topics spoken about within the Ashes community. Every week, we invite you, the viewer, and a special guest to pull up a chair, grab a pint, and join the conversation with us. Today is the 25th of January, 2025, and we are on episode 226, Raising the Bar. And, our special guest, a traveling bard, joining us today is Barr. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. Hopefully you guys are all doing good today as well. So
yeah, I know we're doing pretty good. At least I am. Chibi, how about you?
I'm fine. I'm a little rusty getting back into training, but you know, gotta slay those undead somehow. Just saying.
True story.
I forgot how heavy armor could be until I started training with it again.
As one does. Knock the rust off. Get it moving.
Yeah. Exactly.
So, what do we have on tap today anyway?
Oh, I don't have any like theme names for you because I'm finding that they're getting a little bit like the same every week, but we will be talking about some things in regards to some class changes that have happened or are going to happen, caravans and Zerg mechanics. That's been a very big topic as of late, as a lot of people are dealing with a lot of Zergy type experiences within Vyra and Lyneth, and as well as some really big things come into phase 2 here shortly. Cannot wait to get into it, but in the meantime, we will be speaking with Barr, and also Barr, I'm sorry, but we have subjected you to our typical punny names for our podcast titles. So I hope you don't mind, but I think you'll be happy with how high Barr gets raised.
Oh yeah, no, it was pretty good to see that. So
yeah, sorry, not sorry for the pun.
Sorry, not sorry. Erwin, if you're watching, I know you're appreciating this right now. So first off, hi, who are you? Where are you? And what do you do within Ashes of Creation?
So I am a fighter, and I am in charge of the Knights of the Blood Oath Guild.
Okay.
And pretty much we just go around. Our whole kind of process and how I like to play around it is just making sure that people enjoy the game and trying to push away any of the people that like to destroy the game in itself and like bully people around. So we like to try and be literally the knight of like the shiny knight to everybody that real helpful and that we can be around to help protect people too at the same time.
Okay, so it's the light side of Blood Oaths, not the dark side of Blood Oaths.
Not the dark side, no.
How did you come up with the name Knights of the Blood Oath?
So a lot of people that think that when they think about the name, they think about, of course, the anime. There's an anime that comes with it. Right now, I'm blanking my mind what it's named. But in it, it's the main protagonist is the guild called Knights of the Blood Oath. I actually had the name before I even thought and seen in it like an anime like that. So
yeah,
it was a combination of just words that I put together. It was like, this sounds pretty cool and kind of scary at the same time. So it works out.
Cool but scary. Yeah. I like it.
Yeah, but that's SAO, I think. Sword Art Online.
Sword Art Online. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Had to think for a minute on that one. I still need to go back and even watch the rest of that. I've watched a couple episodes.
I don't know. We had a whole long discussion about like which ones are worth watching and which ones are not maybe worth watching. And some of them just went super far off the rails. So.
It's true.
So how did you get into Ashes and what made you feel like I should be the one leading this guild?
I just had experiences from past I've led a guild in World of Warcraft before. Never got too extreme with it. Once I get to a cataclysm kind of feel to it, that's when I got into heavy PvP. After that, I kind of diddle-daddled around some MMOs and didn't lead a guild at that point. Just was kind of being like the head, like I guess, shot caller for a lot of them. And then I finally was like, I had this name of my guild for a very long time, trying to figure out where to implement it into what game would feel the best at it. And I stumbled across Ashes, just scrolling through my phone, just all of a sudden an ad popped up randomly. I was like, I'll check that out, sure. And that pretty much fell in love with it after that, backed it up and everything. So definitely a big thing that I saw, and I was super excited for it. That I sadly missed out on the Alpha 1 like within like a month, and then I was excited that their Alpha 2 was going to be coming out soon. So pretty much everything combined together, found out that Ashes was going to be a great game to play for the guild that I was looking to create, and it's so far turned out pretty good.
Nice. So yeah, if it makes you feel any better, one of the first things I ever heard GB say when I met her was the day after the original Kickstarter ended. The first words I hear are, "Kickstarter's over, isn't it? Damn it! By one day, or something similar to that. Because yeah, she missed out on the original Kickstarter too. So she missed out on something she wanted to get. So is there any one specific feature that really caught your attention? I know the cheater answer is always like the node system. But did you have anything else that stands out outside of that really caught your attention? Or a feature or interview or something?
Like you said, the node system definitely caught my eye. But what really caught my eye even more was the implementation of the caravans, which is great because we're talking about that today too. I really like that, and I really do like the implementation of the craftsmen and the professions and all that stuff. How you can't have one character and focus solely on it. That you actually need a combination of other players to actually get what you want at the end.
Right.
If you want to move on to a legendary sword, you're going to have to have the woodsmith person, the lumberjack and everything participate while you're mining and everything just kind of coming together and helping out each other. So
yeah,
I just like that whole community base about that.
Gotcha.
I dig it. Yeah, it's man, it's gonna be bananas. Like kind of like I said, just the community contributing everything towards it. Like it's something that's gonna grow with people and with the activities that people take, rather than directly impacting, say, I want to build this building or I want to build a town here. You have to actually just go and do stuff, and the system, generates it for you to a degree. Then you can manipulate it beyond that. I like that feature. Everything's reactionary to what you do.
And not to bring up like something that is like technically a topic piece for later, but I felt like this was just something that would be nice to just bring up in this part. But yeah, like for those of you wondering about Ashes of Creation, it is a social sandbox, which means like we, the players, make the content rather than the developers. Like there's stuff that the developers will make that we can engage off of, but a lot of it is actually reactionary to us. And one of them is like this video that was shown by the dev streams where I guess they killed off a bunch of spiders and then it caused this like little event to pop up. So things like that. I think that's like really, really cool that a lot of stuff is either player curated or player responsive, where the world's kind of reacting to you rather than you are reacting to the world. And I think that's really, really cool. Although we have not even seen anything to do with the story, and I cannot wait for that. That's the other thing that I was super excited about. Those two things particularly with Ashes, which is what drew me personally. But what is one thing that you are enjoying the most right now on your server? What is something that's like a highlight so far in Alpha 2 or even Phase 1, if you want to include Phase 1, not just Phase 2?
I think one of the big things is seeing the actual like kind of community coming together and like just conquering things, and like even though there are some the exploits and stuff like that, yeah, but just in the end, everything is to help the server. So and the game progresses as time goes on. All these exploits, they're helping later on down the road, so they're not going to be exploits down the road, stuff like that. So it's very nice to see that the community isn't seeing it as a full game, of course, right now, and seeing it as a testing ground and actually trying to break the system in a sense so that it can be fixed in the later date. Yeah.
And one of the things we're going to talk about a little bit later is an interview between Steven and Nice Gaming, where they do talk about, you know, the dealing with bugs and ensuring that's a bug, but then that, you know, there's a step further where it becomes exploiting and not just, you know, coming across a bug. But
and welcome in, by the way, Kenko and Planendorf.
Hello. Do you have any other questions for us?
Yeah, I'm curious about the Knights of the Blood Oath. So are you folks planning on being more of a small focused on purpose guild, say with the guild leveling and the guild skill points and everything like that? Like you're going to be targeting certain things and keeping it small, or are you planning on trying to grow and be, you know, a multi guilds in-game guild organization?
I get you. So right now our plan as of right now, because we kind of run things democratically in a sense, we kind of vote. But right now, the general consensus that we are establishing ourselves as a medium-sized guild, because we can't be too small that we can't face like the bigger guilds and then kind of just crumble because we're too small. They have outnumbered people. We're trying to be a good medium-sized guild that we can tackle both small problems and the big problems, and be nice and settled in that little cozy corner in the world. So that's what we're kind of planning on and trying to build off of. Of course, we'll have to see how the guild leveling and skills and stuff that you get from being a small, medium, large guild. We'll have to see how that plans out, and if it sadly turns out that it seems like bigger guild is the way to go, then we might have to expand our way out, but we're trying to focus on just staying around that 150 mark.
That's something that I'm excited to talk about today as well. There's so many great things coming to phase 2. I can't wait to get into it.
There are for sure. So yeah, I guess did you have any like closing things you'd like to add in just about yourself in general or about the guild before we move on to talking about topics?
Really the big thing is just we're a casual, like semi-hardcore-ish guild. I understand that from like a lot of people's perspective, where life still matters. So like I myself is in the military. I know a bunch of my guildmates are in the military too. So it's kind of a nice, right? We're trying to build that nice community for ourselves too, of hey, life matters first, worry about the game later on. The game will be here for years to come. So you're not going to miss out on anything if you miss 2 days of the playtime.
Yeah. Well, hey, here you go. Keyboard Oracle has a question we could ask you before we shift over. How does the game rate as it is now out of 10? How would you rate it?
I would say honestly it would be a good crisp like 7.5 to 8. I have played a lot of alphas before and a lot of betas, and where the game is and how big it is already, even though we're just like, even during phase 1 where we just had pretty much the Riverlands, it's pretty like already not fleshed out, I would say, but pretty well done and added things in. There's of course stuff they need added, but for what it is, it has a lot more content than I've seen in a lot of other kind of newer MMOs that are big still. And it's already just an alpha, so I would say probably get 7.5 to 8.
Yeah. Honestly, like that doesn't surprise me whatsoever. You are not the first person to say something along those lines. Anybody who's been listening to the community has heard that kind of echoed across the entire community as a whole. You know, a lot of people say that for an alpha, it's pretty polished, and that, yeah, I mean, keeping in mind also, these are started with 7 people working on this entire game, and now we're close to 300. So, I mean, it's really awesome. I think that your number falls right in line with what I'm thinking as well. So a very high praises for those of us who've been testing games for a while. I'm going to go ahead and run an ad just as a heads up over on Twitch. Those of you on YouTube, don't worry. This is just so that we don't have to worry about any sort of ads in the middle of our wonderful discussion. So we'll see you in just a few minutes, and there should be no more ads for the rest of the podcast over there. If you want to pop over to our YouTube, come find us over there. Same tag. But that being said, oh, sorry.
I was gonna say, yeah, I'd agree with the rating there. Probably a solid 7, including all the, you know, scratches, dents, and blemishes that exist.
Yep. I joined last minute and I still won.
yeah. Maybe 6.5 only because it is a small area, right? So.
Well, I would say, given how small it is, but how many people are in such a small area, it's running pretty well. Especially for like the first couple of days. Yeah, there's been a huge amount of fall off, but I think that, you know, with the stuff they're implementing, yeah, there's a lot of these things. I just, from my previous testing, games weren't even like this far along. Like I had like AI voice actors for like games that people play on PlayStation now, where when I was testing it, or like green screen scenes where somebody's coming in with like dots all over them with the mocap, and you just see some guy walking in with like one of those like kids toys where it's like a wood with a horse head on it, and that's to simulate them like riding in on a horse. So like comparing that and actually seeing everything that we're seeing, I don't know. I honestly think that they're doing pretty good, especially for how big of a game an MMO is compared to like the Sony games and the Xbox games that you can play.
Yeah. But
out of all of our topics today, is there one that's kind of drawing you? Is there somewhere that you would like to start with, be it the caravan conversations or some feedback from the community or the updates coming? Any of those pulling at you to buy?
Probably the update and the caravan are probably the good 2 that I always like to have like a lot of stays. So
okay, if you had to pick one, which one would you want to start with?
Caravan.
It's not caravan, okay. Sorry, I had to go gloat the fact that I like snuck in and won.
You did.
Nobody said it was hacks yet, so.
Not yet, but now that you mention it.
Hey, no. So this is actually a conversation, Vertec, we had within our own guild VC, the Bloodlust. No, there's no Bloodlust. Where we were talking about, you know, like what if you could stow people inside of caravans? Well, Guilty Funny 6609 on Reddit had the same thought for taxi PvPs. They're thinking, you know, what if Ashes is going to have any sort of like taxi type service, which sure, but it's not going to be like in this type of way. They would like to see the ability to defend caravans and stow passengers, possibly capping it at 2 defenders. The defenders would have to be citizens of the node, as they wouldn't know how Intrepid or a guild would be able to combat people scouting defense parties. The people inside the caravan would be a surprise for any unexpected attackers, while benefiting from a free ride from one location to the next. So it's like, hey, if you defend our node or our caravan, you could also, you know, get this free ride from Miraleth to, like, I don't know, Halcyon. Just, you know, hide in here, and if we get attacked, just pop out and help us defend. What are your thoughts on that?
I would say that it'd be a kind of cool mechanic. It'd be interesting. I definitely think it would have to be a cap, 100%. You can't just have like 10 people jump in at once, and all of a sudden you're like attacking it, and oh well, now you're getting attacked by 10 people.
Yeah.
I think it would be a really cool like mechanic that they add in.
Yeah.
So I think that would be a pretty cool thing to see actually implement, but of course later down the road.
I don't know. We keep trying. We try to jump on top of the caravan, but it makes us fall right through it. So
Yep, just doesn't let us at all.
Just doesn't let us.
But yeah, I really like that idea to be able to actually transport people. For one, because you could be a legitimate like caravan bus service. You just make a giant tour of the map, or you do a certain route at certain times of day or something, and just keep looping around the whole thing.
Yeah.
But beyond that, also because if you get some people hiding away in your caravan, like that could absolutely be a little bit of a surprise strike back tactic if you have like 3 or 4 caravans in a row running, and one of them is just full of like 10 defenders. Like let them kind of hang out in there and like watch a movie or something during the ride, because they're not running around scouting. But then if somebody attacks, just they pop out and go to town.
Yeah, I knew it, and I did try that. I don't know if they've changed anything with it. I typically like to hang out on top of the horse's head, but I'm just saying those are some really long runs, and when I'm not actively needing to attack somebody, it'd be nice to be able to hop on top of a caravan that I can help defend if I need to while working on our podcast notes on the other screen and keeping an eye on it. I'm still playing, I'm still paying attention, but I'm also multitasking. Planendorf, if you just want to like jot that down as like an idea. I don't know about the whole taxi thing, but at least let us ride on top of a caravan. That'd be cool.
Yeah, let us have a bus.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. How is your feeling? This isn't really in the notes, but I'm assuming you've done caravans as a guild or been a part of them as a guild. How does it feel attacking and or defending a caravan to you?
We haven't done too much attacking. But we have done a lot of defending. We do have like an alliance with 2 other guilds, and we do like every so often we do an event where we just do a long line of caravans, and I think that's probably like one of the more fun things. In phase 1, towards the end of the phase 1 process, we did almost a 10 or 11 person caravan run.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, it was good up until the lag spikes started hitting in, and then things were just things were going everywhere. But that was probably like one of the more fun things. Defending's pretty fun too, just as you're being very cautious and looking around at everybody. Like you can see just one dude like running off, and you're like, oh, he's gonna attack us. And then you press on him. He's like a level 7. You're like, oh, okay, well he's fine. He's going off on his own. So just looking at all the constant awareness is pretty funny, and
that's funny.
It makes him get laughs in the process.
Yeah. I don't know about you, but like we've done a fair share of attacking and defending, but it's either very fun or frustrating when you get like the random sent you to Carfin. I'm just saying, if you're ever looking for a Carfin teleport, just hop on a caravan that you don't care about and cross the server boundary. Poof, you're in Carpet. Or it's just one of those things where like you get like a big group of people that are like keeping eyes on like a certain roadway, and they're like, oh, there's pirates on the north route and feds on the south route. It's like, oh god, which way are we going, and do we need to turn around or go somewhere else?
I definitely get that.
It's always an adventure. Never a dull moment.
Yeah. Sorry, 1 second. I guess this other thing wasn't really as caravan-y as I thought it was, the anti-Zerg mechanic. The idea was just to be able to spawn a dragon targeting the guild or group with the highest amount of players. in a large radius. But that just sounds like a good reason to use like monster coins, you know. I'm instead going to move us forward because I believe this was in the other topic about, coming updates to Ashes of Creation. And while there are some really cool updates coming to Sand Squall Desert, there are some also, I believe, I forgot what date it was, if Steven mentioned one, but in an interview with Nice Gaming, he mentioned, I believe, some really nice guild updates coming. And I think one of them is the smaller guild versus larger guild payoff, which we saw, you can either choose to increase your capacity as a guild, or you can get some really nice combat advantages, like either able to do more damage, etc. in a combat scenario. What are your thoughts?
I would say that it's I like the feeling that they're making sure that the people that do have small guilds have some kind of competition still, that they can feel that they can matter and can compete with other guilds that are like wanting to be like dessert guilds or something like that. So if being a small guild, you can be like I guess a mercenary guild is a good one to kind of go for, where they could be like, oh, I want to be only like 175 members, or it's like 75 members, something like that. And then, but we have like really good attack, or like attack speeds up and stuff like that. I think it's like a additive into it, and not having to force you to be like max numbers all the time, and with little to no payout, pretty much. So I think it's a very nice mechanic that they're doing, and I haven't seen it used too often in video games, so it's gonna be a nice surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the idea, being able to either expand your guild to as large as possible, within the game, that is, and get as many people in there as you can, so you have the size to go through and basically kind of wash over everything like a giant wave, or being able to focus, and because that's kind of what, like a knowledge base for a person. That's kind of how it works, right? Like, you can't master everything. You can't do all the stuff. You can either touch very, very little in a long, wide breadth of subjects, or you can go really deep on one thing. So if your guild is super focused and you want to be like the best crafting guild in the world, you could choose every like guild perk that'll get you more crafting or gathering, or PvP or PvE or what have you, whatever the perks end up actually being.
And
I shared a lot more on that.
I shared in the chat the link to the guild progression section of the wiki for those of you that are curious, and maybe this is a new thing to you. This is something Steven's talked about a lot previously, even as early as late as 2017 and in 2020. And a lot of these things are really, really cool. So I think you're going to be able to work together as a guild to level up your guild, to then be able to unlock these perks. And just honestly, cannot wait for this. There's even a screenshot from back in Alpha 1 when they were testing out the UI for it. But honestly, I feel like this is really cool, because then you're able to kind of create this, do I go for more numbers, or do I bolster the numbers that we have? And I think that it might help a lot with kind of helping to counter some of these larger guilds, because I know that right now, even if we have an alliance, there's some people who are way better geared. And if those of you that don't know, gear does matter in Ashes. There's a lot of people that are way better geared than we are even. And they're just taking us out left, right, and center, basically. So yeah. kind of on this subject, Wuha says, what do you think about smaller guilds losing all their stuff when sieges happen? All guilds will lose all their stuff when a siege happens. It's not just smaller guilds. And I mean, I think it's a part of the game. It's part of the nature of the game. If you're not able to defend your node, which is, I believe, 250 v 250, that's just what happens if you can't get enough citizens within a node to defend it, and the attackers are just full force. It's unfortunate, but it's something that it's a part of it, you know?
Yeah.
But they will have other benefits for other nodes, which I kind of want to touch on. This is kind of similar. No, you can't oof them.
Those bunnies are gonna get oofed so hard.
But I mean, that's another thing that a node can do is specialize into kind of helping, like putting out like these. I forgot what they're called right now. It's similar to the guild thing, but if somebody is a person from another node, a citizen from another that got sieged, a neighboring node is able to enact like a buy order or some sort of buff that kind of helps those citizens be able to kind of
recoup. It was like a refugee buffer or something like that.
Yeah, it was like a refugee, but I'm gonna look it up right now just because I want to. My brain won't let me move on without checking on this. But yeah, I think that that's really cool. Yeah, changing citizenship. Let me see. Refugee. Players lose their node citizenship after their node is destroyed in a node siege and will gain a refugee status. Refugees have no cooldown for joining a new node and may get reductions in citizenship dues and other node costs. Refugees get a buff that assists them in reclaiming items from node ruins, and that is directly from the wiki. Here's the link here. But that being said, node sieges are not the same as like a guild siege or a caravan or a node war, where you will have plenty of heads up notice. It'll happen during prime time for a server, and you have plenty of heads up notice that this is happening to get your stuff out of there if you need to get it out of there and dispense it other places. So just in case you didn't know that, wanted to share that in case that's helpful. But speaking of other nodes, oh my gosh. The Sand Squall Desert has so many updates coming to it, including adding pocket dungeons, NPCs, new things for artisanships specific to this biome, which we have talked about this before. I'm so excited. I'm very curious. As somebody who loves doing crafting and processing, I'm like, how is this going to work if I'm in Miraleth or like, Riverlands, but then we go to the desert? Is there going to be new recipes I'm going to have to learn from the desert specifically? Or is that something where if I learn it, I have to go to the desert to make it? There's so many questions I have. But I will share out this tweet that has a lot of this from AOC Intel, in case you guys haven't heard of them. They are a group that is not the official Ashes of Creation Twitter, but they're a group that kind of keeps up on information. So live on PTR. Wait, the way that Vaseline works, Planendorf, thank you, makes you want to punch up with sieges for what it's worth. Depends on balancing, of course, but all other things being equal, there are incentives to focus on fighting higher level nodes rather than picking on like a village run by a smaller guild. I was on the Sand Squall team. I'm so excited it's live on PTR. Yes, I'm so excited. Nice, these are all the PTR nodes, and I think they're coming either the 30th of this month. You can correct me if I'm wrong, Planendorf, but I think that's what Steven said in his interview. So I'm so excited. All right, sorry. Back to you guys.
Just saying, random side tangent. Every time I see that abbreviation, that FWIW, I always try to read it like a word. Well, every single time I see it, I'm like, flew. Oh, for what it's worth. Okay, got it.
I read too much Reddit, I think. I automatically, okay, that's what that is.
Understandable.
All right, so you're saying that?
Like, I think it's gonna be really nice to see.
Yeah.
New crafting like that, so it's gonna be really cool.
I'm so excited. There's ambush events being added to the north of Eithnar, ambush by night event to the north of Eithnar, scorpion charmer event to the northeast of Sunhaven, shade bellies event added to the lawless zone, shady mayhem event added to the northeast of Sunhaven, and over 420 treasure map locations have been added to Sand Squall Desert.
It's bananas.
That is
Bananas.
amazing. There's so many things. I could go on and on and on, but I really don't want to I don't want to like bog down this podcast with all of those. But here's one that I'm really excited about because Vertec, I didn't bring this up on our podcast, but what is one thing I complained about when it came to the shrines? I wish you could just automatically attune. I wish I didn't have to go find it to like click on it. Guess what? Shrines will now automatically attune when you're a small distance away from them.
I am run right by. That's going to help so much for people that are like, yay, I finally made it to Highwayman Hills after running for 25 minutes. Let's go do the thing. Oh wait, my last my last Ember Spring I picked up was in Lion's Hold or whatever, New Ayla.
Yeah. Happened to me a lot when I was one lower level at that point. You're like trying to ghost everywhere, level up, and all of a sudden you die, and you're like, oh, I have to spawn away back at the starting area. All right.
Well, guys, looks like I'm logging out for the night. That's about it.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Honestly, this makes me want to jump on the PTR and just test out because if these are live on PTR, I just cannot wait. But yes, I'll still forget and get yeeted back to the spawn portal. There's so many times where I like ran past like a marker and I thought I got it previously, or like I got close to it and then we got distracted because somebody was attacking something, and then I just pivoted which direction I was going and completely forgot to get it. Next thing I know, I'm like 20 minutes away when I die.
So Planendorf, since you were part of that team, don't want to make you choose from the favorite children and all that. As far as which system was your favorite, I mean, feel free to call it out if you have a favorite system or event or whatever, like component. But what was your favorite to work on? What was the most fun to actually, turn the wrenches for? But sorry, TB, continue while we're waiting on Planendorf to respond there.
Planendorf says new desert recipes for all professions. Just saying, PTRs up all weekend. And I'm like, I might have to try and just not be on live for the weekend. I feel like I need to go test this and see what's going up. And hello, Guggen. And yes, Umbra, we are aware. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, he's having troubles joining on his PC, so he's currently on the phone. So that's why the mic.
Yep. But yeah, some Riverland gatherables will still spawn in the Sand Squall, and I don't know if this is an issue or if this is intended because it's listed under known issues. I thought it was supposed to like meander a little into it, but I don't know if that's a known issue. Are they not supposed to be there? Am I not supposed to get copper in the desert? I'm curious about that.
Well, I think it makes sense if you're to once you get to some of the other notes, because there's one that said removed Riverland's gatherables from the Sand Squall Desert, but then the known issues is some of them still remain, still spawn.
Okay.
So
got it.
You may end up getting like on a western larch over near Sunhaven, just randomly popped in the middle of a stone.
Yeah. Hello, Nilsan. Welcome in. All right. So Planendorf says, I think building exclusivity into the zones was a key thing missing in our game. Now there's more reason to travel and trade, a key social element we want to bring into the game. So I'm stoked for that to exist now, less of a feature and more of a content to sell an idea. And I agree. I think that's very helpful. I will say, I'm going to be honest, just as somebody who does not try to partake in PvP as much as possible, I find myself going all the way around the outskirts of the like free like open world PvP area. I'm not a fan of that section. I'm really not. I would much rather take the extra time and try to avoid it if possible than go through it, because I found it's not a very fun area to go through, and it's not very fun to bring a caravan through either. And that's just how I feel. And there's a lot of people that they specifically want to go through that area just because of the drama that happens. And I'm just like, nah, I'm good. And I think namely for me, it's because of, like, I don't know with you defending, if you've defended in the desert, the Barr, but I feel like you don't even need to be a part of the event to attack the caravan. Which kind of is like, there's no protection when you're just signed up as a attackee or a defendee, I mean, for a caravan going through this Sand Squall Desert. I know it's supposed to be kind of like when you're out in the ocean, everybody's attacking and defending, but it definitely is one of those things where people can figure out where you are ahead of time. And because you have to go through that area, they can like sneak and like hide a big group of them and just attack you and just wipe out your whole caravan train really fast. What are your thoughts on that?
I've not gone through the desert personally with the caravan or anything like that. I do also avoid it as well. I have a couple of guilds that have done it, and it is kind of a sketchy zone. So far we haven't had any problems going through it, like with my guildmates or me. But so we're looking on that part. But I don't know. It's a very sketchy zone that, of course, goes to the heavy PvPers that like to do that kind of stuff. So it's a nice zone probably for them, but for everyone else, it's kind of like a no enter zone.
Yeah. And I try to avoid it as much as I can as well.
I think it's giving a good bit of practice and at least providing some thought and caution to your travels when it comes to planning to go over the open seas, which was the original intent for them adding the lawless zone, right?
Yeah.
As a let's just see how this works, and how people react to it, how they use it, and they're gathering all their data for it. So I think it's a decent bit of practice, but I'm happy it's not supposed to be that way between nodes and between regions in the live game. At least it was announced that it wasn't planned that way. Hopefully those plans aren't changing. It'll make me cry.
Yeah, I agree, honestly. That's my twin. I am your twin. And Basil and I noticed that we like a lot of the same things, or we want to do a lot of the same things. So we're basically just twins at this point. But no, that being said, though, I think that there's an importance in drawing people to the desert, and like to these other areas. If there's not anything worth going out there for, like in my case, I don't find any point in taking a caravan to the desert. It just doesn't interest me. I can make more money not being in going across the PvP zones and just avoiding that whole section. But if there's more reason to go out into those areas and venture out into those areas, I'm all for it. I think that having more gatherables, having more unique recipes, which they've always said that they're going to have in the game, each area is going to have their own unique recipes to that area, and I'm so excited to see those already coming in alpha too, like just this early. I love it. And yeah, that as well, making the world feel a little less cramped as well. But now the question is starting to be, what if I need to get all the way to the tropics from the desert? That's a really long run, and is it really worth getting that far? Or are we gonna start seeing people kind of segregating to these specific zones and like living there, you know? I think that's some great questions to see over the next couple of months as the desert and the tropics biomes get fleshed out a little bit more.
Yeah,
and
I feel like that's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, it's gonna be real interesting.
I just said I think that's gonna be a really fun thing to see. It's gonna be fun to see the segregation, especially like the mountain dwarves that like the the role-playing guilds, like stuff like that, that are permanently just staying in like the mountains, and then that's where they're
Yeah. There. Vertex?
Sorry, what? Brain?
It's okay. I can
flat.
move us on. So another thing, just kind of in feedback, is people have been feeling like the chats are a little cluttered with maybe I'm trying to sell you some nice new alchemy potions, and you know, Barr's over here trying to find like a group, and then Vertex just over here like, you know what, Nexus is the best guild, you should join Nexus. But all of that is happening in one chat. Meanwhile, people are throwing out the GGs because they just got raided or they just fought. What are your thoughts on having like just the one, or being able to like have, say, like a trade chat and another like looking for group chat? Not like, I'm not asking because it was suggested in this this forum post, it was suggested to add something like putting in looking for a group and then having there be like a button to be able to invite them. I think you don't even need to do it that like new age or whatever, because we're not trying to do that necessarily, but at least having just like a looking for group chat separated from general chat, so that way anybody who's looking for a group can just have one clean place to type like, hey, I'm in ROS, I'm looking for a group, and like another area where people are trying to like buy and sell, like a trade chat. What are your thoughts?
I think it is a nice thing to have in, because anyone that has played so far, or even seen people streaming it and stuff like that, if you look at the chat, it does get very cluttered, especially if you have like the shouts. I understand, but you have like the shouts, and you have, like you said, like trade, guild ads, and all that stuff. So it kind of just piles up. I mean, I played around with the chat settings to see if I can like make it a little cleaner and better. Right now, there is still, of course, a little bit buggy with it, but I've gotten it down pretty good. But I think that if you're looking for group one would be nice, or even if it's like a local chat in a sense, like I know it'd be kind of hard to do, but like you can have it like in a zone of influence of like a dungeon, and be like, hey, you're looking for a group, and then go that. But I think having like a trade channel and a looking for a group channel would be a nice thing to clear up the chat a little bit more.
Yeah, more in-depth chat channels. I'm pretty sure that's something that they're going to be working on, right? Because I tried to create a separate channel. I always have like 9 chat tabs, and I do that because I'll have like everything for party or raid in one, and that's all that's in there. That way, if I'm going out and we're running around in a dungeon or something, I only need to worry about what my party people are saying. Another one for just guild. There's no say, there's no global, there's no nothing in there. So I can always look back and say, hey, what's the guild been talking about since I've been online today? And another one for things like say and shout that excludes everything else, because all I really care about is whatever's going on around me. Like, we're having a random little silly event, or we're just fishing, and I really don't care about seeing a bunch of other chat. Like that type of stuff. I always have it all sectioned out. But they don't seem to save. Like when you log out and you log back in, they're gone. So to me, that tells me they probably know it isn't fully fleshed out there, at least.
Yeah.
And I like the idea of, if you have a trade chat channel, or not a trade chat, but looking for a group channel, that you'd be able to just invite people directly from there. Which, I mean, other games have that too. You right click the name in chat and hit invite, right?
The right click, I'd love to see like linking in chat, being able to link like items that you're looking for. I mean, cue the World of Warcraft Murloc chats and like other chats where they would say Murloc with like some sort of link afterwards. But But I think still being able to have something like that. So if you're trying to have somebody like make you something, you can link it. I would love to be able to link my profession to my friends so that they can see what I can make, just like with World of Warcraft. I think that's really helpful. Just because they're like, hey, can you make this? And I'm like, maybe, yeah, here's what I can make. Or like maybe they're just wondering what I can make in general. Instead of me like sitting there listing out everything to them, I could just like, here's what I can make. You can see it for yourself. And then also Nuiden says citizen chat and say being the same color is rough. And it can definitely be rough. Because I think that seeing the difference between the colors, but also I feel like sometimes the chat is a little bit not ideal. Like I try to like whisper and sometimes it goes back to citizen, for example. And it's a little clunky. I know this is all that they're all working through it, but these are just some feedback pieces I have. I would love to be able to recolor the chats, and I'd love to have a little bit more, even just like if I'm whispering multiple people, I've noticed there's like 2 or 3 whispers, but they all go back to the last person I whispered. But it'd be cool if I can click between them and whisper Vertec or whisper to Barr separately by clicking on like which whisper. And it would be a little bit easier to like manage my whispers, because I don't know how many times I went to whisper somebody and it whispered the last person, because I tried clicking through that and it was like complete randomness to that poor person. They're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I've had a couple instances.
But yeah, there's definitely a bunch of chat stuff that could be fixed up for sure. I imagine it's one of those, they probably just built the skeleton of it and said that'll work for now. We got other stuff going that we need to work on that's more pressing than chat. Chat is functional and it's good enough for now.
Later, Planendorf. Thanks for stopping by.
Take care, Planendorf.
And thank you for sharing your thoughts on the desert. I love it.
Yeah. But then that's perfectly fine. I mean, to be honest, if chat not being super customizable or being crowded and global is our biggest concern, we'd be in a really good place, right?
Yeah, it's enter third world problems comment.
Yeah, first world problems. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, first world problems versus third world problems. Like, these people over here can't even get food and you're mad that you have to wait 5 minutes for food. Come on. Relax, slow down, take it easy. And Umbra, I mean, you have been with us for a long time. I'm pretty sure we've mentioned multiple times that Vertec and I are going to do tank and cleric all the way through.
Tank everything. That's always my primary. Chibi does the healer, always the primary.
And the Barr's our fighter, sounds like. Just don't pick up our bar stools, okay? No fighting with those.
I can't confirm or deny that bar stools are so, not my fault.
Yeah, tavern fights, tavern brawls are definitely on a scheduled basis. They need to be pre-planned events.
Yeah. No, just, that guy looked at me funny, smash him in the face with the bar stool type of shenanigans, please. Otherwise, you owe the tavern at least 5 gold for causing a ruckus, okay? Oops, I think I posted this in the wrong chat twice. My bad. The next thing I'm going to talk about is like combat and talents. Like we're in the tavern. There's a war that was just declared on our city, our node. And how do you feel about that? Like, especially right now, there's not currently any sort of UI to let you know that there's a war gonna happen in, like, let's say 5 seconds. But instead, you and I were chatting at the tavern, Vertex pouring you a nice glass of mead, and suddenly these people from Winstead break down our door and start attacking us. How does that feel to you with like being in the cities and these like towns are not combat free? In fact, I think you're primarily within the UI or the ZOI, of the node. That's where you're flagged at the moment. Do you feel like town should be a safe space still so that you can get like repaired and things like that when a war breaks out? Or do you think that the way it is currently is okay?
I think town should be a semi-safe zone. I know there was a problem when one of the nodes, they put on another node, and before they did that, they pre-planned that all their people were gonna put themselves inside that other node. Yeah. They all just go. It's a
That happened to us
Rough.
phase 1. So yeah, very familiar.
I think it should be jump based.
Yes. Okay.
Basil says, remember, if you get in a tavern fight, you can buy potions from Chibi for any injuries. True. I have those. They're on hand. Vertec, what are your thoughts?
Combat free in towns. I know first when I had heard Steven's response to the no combat in towns, I thought that was a pretty rough way to go. I think I'm kind of slowly coming around to the idea that the combat in towns is okay. Just because it fits the feel of the rest of the environment and the rest of the game. But that being said, I don't still necessarily enjoy that.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, personally, again, if I go back to town, I want to be able to know that, you know, the town guards are protected. There's a reason I pay my taxes, right? I'm paying my citizen taxes to live in a secure environment. It's not secure. Somebody still murdered me right there. But yeah, I think the problem with the node wars thing is totally different, right? Because if you're at war with a node, then you're gonna be able to go around and do whatever.
Right.
Like that's the whole purpose of a node war, is to literally have conflict inside and around a node. So I think that's, I mean, not gonna be something that I would even argue to change. Is the node wars and node sieges should definitely have full carte blanche to jump in there and smack people around.
Yeah.
I agree.
And adorable little one, by the way.
Yeah. A dwarf seems to have wandered into the tavern.
Yeah, a dwarf wandered into the tavern.
Sorry, I'm gonna have to go play the ball. I'm gonna have to bounce out for a minute.
Thank
Alrighty,
you.
hey.
Sorry about that, you guys.
All good.
Yeah.
Chat with you later.
Hey, take care.
Oh god, sorry. Oh my gosh. The chaos. Those tiny dwarves, they cause some chaos sometimes, I'm telling you.
They do. Oh, now I gotta fix some videos here.
Oh no. Wait, where am I? Am I this way? Am I this way? No.
You are all over the
Hi.
place. You are everywhere right now.
I'm short.
Alright, let's see if I can get the right one on here. This one? No. That one, no. I got you. We're in
You
there.
got me? Okay, I was hiding.
I'll turn that thing off. Alright, cool. We good.
Oh my gosh.
We have succeeded.
We succeeded. But yeah, all in all, I think that, you know, the guards and stuff, like, there's a lot of people that were surprised, even during a node war, that the guards weren't helping to defend the city at all, or like helping to defend the citizens of the node. And I don't know, I actually never really thought about that, because to me, I was just like, oh yeah, they just don't care because like the wars happened, the multiverse of TV. But I kind of heard in the manner of like, you know, they don't really care about the node happening because they're aware that, or the war happening because they know that the node war is happening already, and meanwhile, like, we're fighting, and they're just like, yep, I'm just gonna stand over here and keep murdering this cow over and over and go on like it's business as usual. But I don't know how to feel about it. It would be nice to have kind of a safe zone, I think, within the nodes, but yeah. I guess to kind of wrap up, we have this featured image from Ashes. They chose this really awesome photo from Panda Posse, which is kind of like the moonlight over Winstead, or around Winstead, as I think we're about to do a caravan. There's a couple of little caravans as little rafts on the water. I really like it. If the town guards don't attack, then what's the point of them, right? I think that they should help attack, but I think they're like, I mean, have you ever gone up against a town guard? Somebody's accidentally been like flagged one time, and the guard just basically one-shot them. So
Yeah.
I could see that being like totally overpowered for a fight, but maybe that'll like cause people to not fight in the cities, but maybe in the ZOI or like out front in face, and I mean in front of the place in general. Some places need to be safe, and some people didn't consent to a node war. Yeah, that's accurate. I mean, in general, if a node war happens, a node war happens. If you're a citizen of that node, you've kind of consented to having a node war happen. But I wish that it's one of those things where you would have heads up notice, kind of like with sieges or things like that, where both people can agree, like, hey, I'm gonna attack you, and you can be like, okay, cool, you can attack me at this time. But then one of our guildies was like, yeah, but wars don't really happen at a planned time and day. You know, they just kind of happen when they happen, and you have to like get people, or you lose your forces, I guess.
Yeah, see, it ended up being tricky to have a proper node war without people being able to fight in the node. I think outside of that, though, like, I don't know. Like I said, it's tough. It's tough. I'm starting to come around to it feeling like the rest of the game if you are in danger in town, to a degree at least. But again, like, the biggest thing is, like, if I go to my hometown, you know, I can't get around that to solidly commit to being okay with violence in town being acceptable.
Yeah.
I just can't get myself around that if I go to my hometown, I should be safe in my hometown.
Yeah. I don't know. It's one of those, like, I part of me is like, all right, well, I guess this is how it has to be because I'm learning to get used to a different type of game. But the other part of me is like, yeah, but I wish.
Yeah. That's the thing. Wishes and dreams, we can let them be known and see what happens, but
yeah,
likely not going to change something like that.
Yeah. Well, Vertec, I don't really know what else to talk about.
I mean, there's plenty of stuff we could talk about. I know, I at least want to put out there with the PTR update notes that we were discussing earlier. I need to get in the PTR and I need to test out the tank stuff because, man, it's quite the change to tanks. Like, the entire play style is going to be completely different. And I'm not sure I like the way it looks, to be honest. It looks like a lot of our mitigation has kind of vanished, and a lot of our threat has vanished. So PvE is going to be a mess. We're going to not be able to do as much active blocking because we're going to need to keep generating and spending resources. And we need to do so to keep threat up. So I'm really curious how it's going to play out. I think PvE is going to be very, very rough. I think PvP tanks are going to be forced to jump in and actually like dive and keep their activity up in a heavy way instead of like hanging back and being strategic because they're going to lose their resources.
Yeah.
And with those resources come mitigation to keep them alive. And currently we're already getting blasted by mages within like three seconds of being engaged anyway. So there's that.
Yeah. I feel like PvE tanks and PvP tanks need to be a little different. It'd be really cool. I think we talked about this a long time ago. It'd be really cool to see maybe like this is what it would happen to like mitigate in a PvE scenario, but in a PvP scenario, it'd mitigate this other thing. Vice versa. We did also have a conversation about like abilities doing less or more depending if you're doing PvE or PvP. Just because it's like so crazy. You can get nuked down in like 2 seconds, I feel like, when PvPing up against like a mage, for example, or a bard. It just the amount of like, especially if you're being focused by all these people, you're just kind of obliterated immediately, which is the name of the game. But it does feel like survivability is a little hard sometimes depending on the class. Like for cleric, I know that there's not like a cleric change happening that's being discussed, but sometimes like I feel like I have no way to protect myself when I'm getting CC'd by like 1,000,001 people. I don't feel like purifying is helping me remove it fast enough to like still save myself. So typically I try to stay in the back lines, because if I'm caught up in the front and they all focus me, I'm just down kind of what feels like instantly.
Yeah, and there's, I mean, I will say at least the one change I was asking for tank self-sustain was an adjustment to vengeance, which was kind of useless before, and now it looks like it will be useful. But with so many adjustments to it, it's going to kind of remain to be seen for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I think all the other changes to tank kind of feel awkward, just looking at it.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I don't want to totally criticize it, because you never know. It might feel okay, but I have a feeling it's going to get a lot more rough.
Basil says, I'm curious if augments will help things too. And maybe that's them preparing for augments. You know, phase 3, there's going to be tank and cleric augments coming to all classes. And so maybe what you're feeling right now is what a tank would normally feel like. But in preparation for like, here's the baseline of these things, and now you're going to do like tank mage, you know, you don't need so much mitigation or like whatever they're adjusting with that class to get to whatever point they're happy with. Because again, at 25, you're supposed to be able to unlock your secondary archetype. So
yeah.
I could totally see, I could totally see that being in preparation for the secondary augments being the big class changer, because they did say tank, a pure class, tank, cleric, mage, etc., is going to be like the best at that role for what it's doing. And like anything that you can augment, like a cleric bard, for example, I'm really curious how that stacks up against a cleric, and I can't wait. I really just can't wait.
Yeah, I have a feeling that when it comes to primary, secondary archetype combinations, I almost think that DPS are going to be the only ones that are really exploring that. Because the way Steven talked about it, especially with tank, was that your main tank is going to be a tank. Like, nobody else is really going to be able to do anything nearly as well, and everyone else could probably be like off tank or something. Like it sounds like it's going to be a very, very noticeable difference in effectiveness. And sorry, but if me as a tank falling over dead is going to wipe or have a risk of wiping the whole group, I'm not going to really want to play around with that too much, right? I'm going to want to be as solid as I can. So I don't think people are gonna play around with those unless they're maybe like an off tank or an off healer or something like that. But it's gonna be very few.
Vertek and I need to just after tonight's podcast, when we go to wrap up here in a second, I think we need to just play around on the PTR and get ready for our show. Because I mean, you have your Monday Mead quest, which you can't really share PTR. It's under NDA for visual stuff, but you could talk about it, and that'll give you plenty to discuss tomorrow. Your experiences with everything. Plus, I did see somewhere in the notes that they have various people out in various locations to help you get XP and gear as you level. So that is really awesome. I am still hoping for the day where they bring it so you can copy your character from live to PTR. But in the meantime, I am happy enough with that. And you know, your girl is gonna have to go try out all the crafting stuff. You just know. True story.
But yeah, Chaffee, that's kind of what we started talking about for a minute there. Was the updates to tank that, without being on the PTR to test it out, they look very, very, very awkward. It's gonna be interesting to test them and see how well it plays out. Some of them looks like they could be decent changes, but that is taken in a vacuum. When you look at it all together, it just looks like tanks can be rough.
Yeah.
All right.
That's great to know, Sivat. Sivat says, yeah, they do crafting boost too. I am going to have to get my booty over there and test that.
Yeah, I don't know if PvE tank is gonna really be too happy about the changes for sure. But the PvP tank, I'm not even sure if there's really solid changes there either, because we're already getting, like, when it comes to PvP, I already don't really feel much like a tank. I'm getting burned down in like 2-3 seconds by mages coming in, and I have all Carfin, Rosarium, and the Fallen Forge gear. Like there's nothing that hasn't come from, you know, the max level of those, and some of those are max rolls too. But having all that, and I get like 2 mages on me and I'm burned in 3 seconds. That doesn't feel very tanky, especially even when I have my mitigations popped, my cooldowns and everything. And if it's going to get worse because Grit is losing its it's passive, where it would gain full physical mitigation from it, would be added as a magical mitigation. That's going down by half now. Courage does not provide passive mitigation, so there goes the 10% mitigation there. The grits, each stack grants 10% physical mitigation instead of, what was it, 15 list. I think now. Yeah, there's a whole list. And now you can get up to 20% instead of up to 25% continuously. You can get up to 20% on a cooldown that costs courage. So you got to keep building that courage, which means you have to dive. Like, tanks are going to be dive tanks in PvP. You have to, or else you're not going to build that courage, which means you're not going to get your mitigation. You're going to get sniped by like 2 spells and be done in 2 seconds instead of 3 that it currently is. But we'll see. Testing is testing.
Yep.
All right. Well, shall we go ahead and wrap up? Did you have anything else you wanted to talk about?
Nope, I'm good. Thank you.
All right. Well, let me take a peek here. I believe, Lloyd is still on. We could raid on over to Lloyd. They're talking about that 8v8 arena tournament.
Yeah, I think he's doing a PvP thing, so.
Yeah. All right. Well, everybody, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Thank you for being here. Thank you for spending your time with us. It is your most valuable commodity, and you do not get refunds. So spending it here means a lot to us.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And yeah, Chaffee, he's going to be live tomorrow. Y'all can talk about that all you want tomorrow.
Tomorrow, Monday?
Monday. Just kidding. Monday.
Oh yeah, Chappie, absolutely. We can even like chat between tonight or tomorrow for sure anyway. T-Raid. Dude. Lloyd.
And this guy was just on our Tuesday stream. He'll come up on our 8th of February stream. So he'll be our guest. And yeah, thank you guys so much for giving us your time and energy. And you could be out there playing PTR like I want to go do. But instead you're here chatting with us. So I appreciate it.
Everyone take care. Catch you around next time. Bye.